Om Sang Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. We're going to continue our study of the Bhagavad Gita. We're in chapter 2, and we're starting at verse number 38. And we'll get our little music box working, and then we can sing along with the music. Om Swaha, Om Bhuva Swaha, Om Swaha Swaha, Om Bhuva Swaha Swaha. Nisududute Samitritva, Lava Lava, Jaya Chayo, Tato Yudaya Yudhashva, Nivam Patamavatsyasi Swaha. Eshate Mahita Sanye, Udim Yoge Timam Trinu, Udyayuto Jaya Pradam, Karmabandam Rahasyasi Svam, Nehabi Brahmana Shruti, Pratyabhayo Navigate, Sarvamasyasya Dharmasya, Trayate Makato Vayat Svam, Nyapasayati Kabudir, Ekeha Gurunandanam, Urusaka Danandasya, Urya Evyapasaya Ginam Svaha, Yamimam Pushikam Bhasham, Prabhadasya Pastata, Vedavada Vadapartam, Nanyandasniti Bhadina Svaha, Kamabana Swargaparam, Janakarma Pulapagam, Priyavishesha Bahulam, Bhogeshwaragatim Pratisa, Bhogeshwarya Prasadanam, Tayapariti Jeprasam, Gavasayati Kabudhi, Samadho Gramini Yate Svam, Prigunya Vishaya Vedam, Niskegunya Bhartinam, Nidvando Nityam Satvasto, Niryoga Chima Atmavan Svam, Yavaranda Gudavane, Sarada Saptuloge, Tarasam Sadeshnu Rideshu, Paranasya Vijanata Svam, Pamani Bhagi Karaste, Mapaleshu Kadachana, Makarma Palame Kubur, Mati Sankosi Karmati Sva, Yogasaha Guru Karmani, Sangyam Gajadanam Jayam, Siddha Siddho Samudva, Samatva Yoga Richate Sva, Durena Dhyavaramkara, Buddhi Yoga Danam Jaya, Pudosha Mandicha, Kripana Palakit Basva, Buddhi Yudo Jagatiha, Ube Sabrina Vishkite, Tasma Yogaya Yudhashwa, Yoga Karma Sukosalam Svam, Karmatam Buddhi Yudaki, Param Gatva Vanishinam, Karma Bhakta Nimukta, Param Gatanganayam Svam, Yadati Homi Kalitam, Buddhivyati Krishna, Tadaka Rasmi Nivekam, Sutakasya Srutasya Tasva, Sruti Nikrati Pavanate, Yadasati Sri Nishtala, Samadama Chatla Buddhis, Tada Yoga Vajasi Sva, Arjuna Vajasva, Stitranya Shakabasha, Samadhi Prasyatela, Siddhati Kim Prabhashita, Nimasita Prajitatim Sva, Sri Bhagavad Vajasva, Pajahiti Yatman, Sarvam Bharta Madhogatan, Atmani Bhatana Dushta, yashya dochate swaha. Dukesh paduti manmanam. Sukeshu hikatas meha. Vitaraga vayakroda. Sitadira muni druchate swaha. Yasaratam visnehas. Tatatapya subhasvam. Navinam naveshi. Tashikaryam dishtika swaha. Yadam sagarate chayam. Murmogani vasarasam. Indriyariyarkarte. Yastasya pragya pratishtita swaha. Vishya vinididante. Niraharasya deginam. Rajasparyam sovyasya. Pramrisvam nirvartate swaha. Yadatoyati konteyam. Purusha shapi panchitam. Indriyani pramadini. Haranti tasvam manahasva. Tani sarvani samyamyam. Yudavasi kamanram. Paseni indriyani. Tasya prishtitasva. Jayato vishayam humsa. Sakle dishu tajayate. Sangata sanjayate ama. Kamanta krodha upajayate svaha. Krodha mudanda bhavasi samoha. Samoha smriti brahmaha. Smriti brahmasha dubudi naso. Vinasha vanasate svaha. Ragadvesha viyugestu. Vishaya indriyashkaranam. Atavaishya videyatma. Prasamadadi gachate svaha. Prasade sadhukanam. Anirasyo prajayate. Prasanate tasoyashu. Buddhi pratyapatishitae svaha. Nasti buddhi praktikasya. Chayitasya bhavana. Nachavavaya prahashantir. Ashantasya buddhasukam svaha. Indriyanam vicharatam. Yamano nudidiyate. Tadasya vyarati pragyam. Pagirnavavi bhavasi svaha. Tasmadashvam brahavaho. Nirvihitani sarasyaha. Indriyartaivyas. Tasya pragapradishtika svaha. Yanisha sarvabhutanam. Tasyam jagarti samyami. Yashas jagarti bhutani. Samisa pasyato mane svaha. Apuryamatna chala pratishtam. Samudrama pravisanti yadvat. Tadakamanyam pravisanti svame. Nasati sandoti nakamakami svaha. Viyaya kamanyaha sarvan. Humam sarati nisprihan. Nimo nirahankara. Sasanti samidaka gachate svaha. Esha brahmi sthiti prata. Niram prapya vimukhyate. Sitavastatra kalimi. Brahmanirman richate svaha. Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Sudvitiyo Adhyaya svaha. Om Bhuv svaha. Om Bhuva svaha. Om svaha svaha. Om Bhurbhuva svaha svaha. Let's return to verse 38. We have been talking about the difference between the wearer of the body and the body that he wears. And now, perceive with equanimity pleasure and pain, gain and loss, victory or defeat. Only with such preparation for war can you be free from sin. How can you ever free yourself from all the confusions of life so long as you are attached to the outcomes of your actions? So when you perceive with equanimity pleasure and pain and gain and loss, victory or defeat, then you are prepared to fight the battle. Then you can put all of the forces of duality that are chattering in your brain, you can put them all in a harmony and silence them all. Because what we want is the best to be a tool in the hands of God. Whatever outcome from that function that you choose, that's what we want. That's how we decide what's the best. This has been presented to you in the philosophy of Shamkhya, the enumeration of the principles, the union with the intellect. So here we have the first. Remember, there are 7 major branches of philosophy. First is Charvak, and then come the 6 classical schools of philosophy: Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Shamkhya, Yoga, Uttamimamsa, and Purvamimamsa. So this is the description according to Shamkhya philosophy. That is the discrimination between the wearer of the body, Purush, and the body, Prakriti. And now, hear of that intelligence united with which you will be liberated from the bonds of action. We're moving up in the scale of philosophy. In this way, neither loss of effort nor contrary results can be known. You won't have a deleterious effect from your activity. There's neither a loss of effort nor a contrary result. Because all you want to do is surrender to the will of God. So in producing the effort, you've already won. You've already been victorious. And there can't be any contrary result because you're not hankering after a result. All you want to do is the best you possibly can as a tool in the hands of God. Even striving towards this ideal, a little, takes away the greatest fears. Even if you strive to act as a tool in the hands of God, even a little bit, all the greatest fears are gone. O delight of action, Arjuna, who has defined the goal in this way, has one single mind. Scattered in infinite directions or branches are the thoughts of those whose goals are not defined. If you don't have a goal, how can you have a path? And if you don't have a path, how can you make the journey? Scattered in infinite directions or branches are the thoughts of those whose goals are not defined. Obviously. Without a sankalpa, how can we perform our puja? We have to have a firm determination to achieve a certain effect. We want to become the tool in the hands of God. That's the effect that we are trying to evolve. When we have defined the goal, we can define and understand the process by which we can achieve that goal. Otherwise, I think I'll take Diksha here. I think I'll find that guru there. I think I'll dig many shallow wells. But until I make a commitment, I cannot hope to find the water. O son of she who excels Arjuna, there are those of obscured consciousness who utter flowery words, who are devoted to worldly knowledge and speak of no other position. There are. We have met many of them. Excuse me. Their thoughts are bound by desires for the highest heaven, and their actions give the fruit of rebirth. They perform many special acts for the supremacy of enjoyment. So they're trying to create a heaven on earth. And they define that, and it looks a certain way, and it tastes a certain way, and it has a certain environment and a certain atmosphere, and they're really seeking to enjoy. I want to be there to enjoy being in the heaven. In fact, I'd like to be the gatekeeper to heaven on earth, so that I can determine who can come and who can't. So their thoughts are bound by desires. For those who have directed their intelligence to the supremacy of enjoyment as the delight of consciousness, absorption in divine consciousness is not contemplated. How can you contemplate complete absorption not being there. Totally unified. Unified consciousness is different from being the enjoyer. When you want to be the enjoyer, you're still there. When you want the supremacy, and I want to be the one who decides who comes and who goes, then who is there? I am. And that absorption in divine consciousness is not contemplated. Can't contemplate the complete merging of ego in the fullness of the consciousness, in the fullness of godliness, as long as I want to be there to enjoy it. Two separate propositions. Clarity of pure devotion, Arjuna. There is knowledge which contemplates the three attributes of nature, as also that by which one becomes beyond the three attributes of nature, beyond conflict, eternally established in truth, taking refuge in union with his or her own soul. So there are two propositions here. There is one school of thought that's contemplating the attributes of nature, and I'm going to build a heavenly palatial kingdom of God on earth. Or there's another that says, I want to know what is beyond the attributes of nature. I want to contemplate that which is supreme, which is beyond conflict, eternally established in truth, in union with our own soul. As is the value of a well beside a flood of waters, just so is all worldly knowledge to a knowledgeable one who knows divinity. It's just like sitting by the river looking at the well. One would regard the worldly knowledge, the worldly possessiveness as just as valuable as a well beside a river of clear water. You have authority over actions, but never over the fruits. Let your motive be to the fruits. Never let your motive be to the fruits of action, nor let your attachment cause inefficiency. Pretty clear. We can produce the action and we can aspire to a given result. But if we have attachment to the outcome of that activity, we're going to be inefficient. Sadhu means efficient. And we don't become efficient by attachment to the fruits of our activities. So let your motive be never let the motive be to the fruits of the action. Let's make the motive be to produce the action as efficiently as possible, as lovingly, as joyously, as efficiently as possible. Perform all action established in union, renouncing all attachment, conqueror of wealth Arjuna, remaining the same in success or in failure. Such equilibrium is called yoga. Now here's another definition of yoga. Before we were talking about chitta vritti nirudh, the prohibition of all changes or modifications in the objects of consciousness. And here we're saying samatvam yoga uchyate. Samatvam, that equilibrium. When you are in samma, that equilibrium, that equal balance, that perfect peace, this is called yoga. For inferior actions are far from union with intelligence. A conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, seek refuge in intelligence. Miserable are those motivated by fruits. So if we're not united with our intelligence, we're in conflict and confusion. And all the actions that we produce will be inferior. When they're coming from a strong center, motivated by union with God, motivated by the success or the upliftment of our community, then we stay in harmony and in balance. And even if the action does not produce exactly the desired fruit, we remain in balance. United with intelligence, one abandons both good actions and bad actions, and therefore strive to attain union in yoga. Yoga is efficient action. So now, sadhus are yogis. They produce efficient action because they're united in intelligence. They're in the supreme intelligence, in the big intelligence. They're one with God. They're centered. They're poised. They're in equilibrium and balanced. And therefore, strive to attain union in yoga. Wise men who are united with intelligence renounce the fruit born of their actions and attain liberation from the bondage of birth. They go to a blissful state. When your intelligence will overcome being covered with ignorance, that's what he says. He says it so succinctly as well. When your intelligence will overcome being covered with ignorance, then you will attain indifference to what is heard and what will be heard. So you become completely indifferent when you hear good things, when you hear bad things. You are the same. It doesn't change you. Only you must maintain the union with intelligence. When you go to the bad things and they affect us, then what is heard and what will be heard is going to be a constant source of sorrow and suffering to us. When we're in union with intelligence, you hear it and it comes in one ear and goes out the other. When your intelligence will rest without movement, free from hearing false opinions, from mistakes and from errors, it will be fixed in pure intuitive vision. Then you will attain union in yoga. So when intelligence it becomes still, and you're not listening to opinions, you're only listening to buddhi. That is the objective knowledge of what is. And buddhi is actually dravya swarup. It's the intrinsic nature of the object of perception, is intelligence. And mon is bhakti swarup. The individual's imposition of opinions. I say this is a fire. That is buddhi. It is a fire. Every one of us will agree it's a fire. In any language, by any name that we call it, we will all come to the same conclusion. This is a fire. If I say this is a beautiful fire. The adjective, the description, is dependent upon the perceiver. The noun, fire, is inherent within the object. That's called dravya swarup. And bhakti swarup means that it's dependent upon the inclination of the individual perceiver. And that's the difference between buddhi and mon. So now he says here, free yourself from all the mon, from all the opinions, from all the adjectives, and look at the intrinsic nature of intelligence. It's inherent within the object. And then you will attain union in yoga. Remember, yoga comes from the root yuj. It's the same root as yagya. Yoga and yagya come from the same root yuj, to unite. So then you will attain union in union. In the union, in union. Brahmarpanam Brahmahabhi Brahmanam Brahmakunam. There is only Brahma Eva, only God. Only that supreme divinity. Arjuna Vacha, and the clarity of pure devotion said, O embodiment of the functions of creation, preservation, and transformation. That's the name of Keshava. Ka is the cause who creates. A is the existence, and Isha, Sha, will be the transformation. So Krishna is called Keshava, and it's also the one with beautiful hair. Expound upon he who is established in wisdom, who experiences pure intuitive vision, who has fixed his mind. How does such a being speak? How does he sit? How does he move? Okay, these are some pretty good questions. Give us a good description of somebody who's really established. Who is a wise being? I'm not talking just about a wise guy. I mean, what being is really established in wisdom? Not somebody who speaks eloquently. Who is established in wisdom? How is how does he speak? How does he sit? How does he move? What's his life like? What's his aspiration? Please tell me this. And the respected supreme divinity said, son of she who excels Arjuna, ignoring all desires born of the mind, when one remains satisfied with his own soul and his own soul alone, then he is said to be established in wisdom. Self-contempt. Established in your soul. Established in the self. And then that's called wisdom. Whose mind remains without obstacles when in pain, who remains free from desires when in pleasure, who is free from passion, fear, and anger, is said to be the wise one who has fixed his mind. And that's the nature of wisdom. Who is equally in love with all that is, attains neither elation nor aversion to the pure and impure. Such a being is established in his wisdom. Doesn't apavitra pavitra ba sarva vastangatopi ba yahastari pundari kaksham, that's the name of Vishnu. Sadhyam yantara sutsi, he is conveyed to radiant purity. He knows neither the impure nor the pure. He just sees what is without qualification, without judgment, without imposing personal opinions. And that individual is established in wisdom. When he can withdraw his senses from their objects of perception, just as a tortoise withdraws his limbs, such a being is established in his wisdom. Move, take the senses inside, pratyahara, and become fixed in meditation within. From a wearer of the body who does not partake, desire itself turns away. If your soul, which wears the body, doesn't hanker after, I'm going to enjoy the fruit of this karma and the fruit of that karma, desire itself will leave you. What do you want? Desire's knocking on the door and there's no one home. And most of us go to the mall and say, oh, every object is calling me, take me home. Every object on every shelf in every display case in every department store is saying, Swami, wouldn't I look lovely on your mantle? And you know, for a wearer of the body, these are major encumbrances. How many of these objects are really necessary for me to achieve my goal? How many of them will enhance my pursuit? How many of them will make me a tool in the hands of God? Those are the ones I want to bring home. stay where you are. Please, for a wearer of the body who does not partake, desire itself turns away. For one who has perceived the supreme, the experience of emotion is devoid of emotion. You experience emotion without attachment. It's devoid of emotion. You see it and you have empathy, and you have compassion, but you don't experience it yourself. You have no attachment to the empathy or compassion that you feel. O son of who takes away the deficiency of others, Arjuna, for the senses are so strong as to harass even the wisest of men, to carry away the mind even of he who makes an effort. You know, even if you're a strong, heroic meditator and you've been doing practices for so many years, the senses are so strong they can harass even the strongest of practitioners, even the wisest of men. Having controlled all of them, sit in union with me, the highest. For he who has subdued his senses becomes established in his wisdom. The man who meditates upon any idea cultivates attachment. Whatever you contemplate, you cultivate an attachment to that ideal. Either it's an attachment to possess or an anti-attachment attachment. Either it's an attraction or a repulsion, but there is attachment in both. And now our anti-attachment attachment is just as much a bondage as the attraction. So the man who meditates upon any idea cultivates attachment, and from attachment comes desire, and from desire comes anger. And from anger comes ignorance, and from ignorance, confusion of memory. And from confusion of memory, the intellect is destroyed, and when the intellect is destroyed, one is lost. Because I've got this attachment, I've got a desire either to accept or reject. And because my desire is not fulfilled, I'm anxious. And because of this anxiety, I'm angry and frustrated. And because of this frustration, I'm ignorant. And because of this ignorance, I'm confused. And because of this confusion, I forget my goal. And because I forget my goal, I have no path. And when I lose my path, I wander aimlessly, waiting to become inspired again, forgetting that it's my responsibility in the first place. And when the intellect is destroyed, one is lost. He whose soul takes control of the various ideas, wandering with the movement of the senses, that knowledgeable soul attains as a gift of offering freedom from the activities of feeling or sentiments or passions, the rasas, as a prasad. He gets this, his soul takes control of the various ideas, wandering with movement of the senses. Okay, every time you see something, you think about it. But you see it once, and you think about it again and again and again. So then you start contemplating the object of perception, the various ideas that are wandering with the movement of the senses. And now, as a gift, as the prasad from the offering, freedom from the sentiments or the passions, I lose that attachment, that raga. It goes. I leave it. And the gift of offering gives birth to the loss of all pain. Offer those sentiments, that passion, that raga. And then all the pain goes away. whereby the intelligent one becomes firmly established in the delight of consciousness. Because that's what really brings bliss. This cannot be for one who is not united with the intellect, nor for one who is not united with an attitude of awareness. We must have intelligence, we must have discrimination, we must have a clear understanding of our goals and of processes and our path. And for one without an attitude of awareness, there is no peace. And for one without peace, how can there be happiness? Now here's a path to happiness and peace, is to withdraw the sentiments that we've cultivated from the perceptions of the wandering senses. For the movement of the senses enjoins the mind in contemplation. You've got to think about what you see. It enjoins the mind. It's incumbent upon the mind to think, to attach a name to every root and to every form it perceives. It's incumbent. It's the nature of the mind. And then the next step is to create a relationship and a judgment and an opinion. And there we go, off to the races. For the movement of the senses enjoins the mind in contemplation that takes away his wisdom as a boat is pushed across the waters by the wind. Therefore, one of mighty arms, Arjuna, he whose senses have been consistently restrained from the objects of perception is established in wisdom. And that's tapasya. That's our sadhana. A consistent application of restraining the senses from the objects of their perception, then we become established in wisdom. We have a consistent application. That consistency is what gives birth to the establishment of wisdom. That which all existence regards as darkness inspires wakefulness to he who practices self-control. That which inspires wakefulness to the rest of existence, the wise man perceives as darkness. So here all creation is saying, Kamini and Kanchana are the wonders of the world. Pursue wealth and enjoyment, and you will be glorified. That inspires wakefulness to the rest of existence. But the wise man perceives that as darkness. What will I need with Kamini and Kanchana? And that which all existence regards as darkness inspires wakefulness to he who practices self-control. Hey, what are those crazy people doing sitting there all day long on top of a mountain by themselves, chanting the Chandipat, reading the Gita? What nonsense, what a waste of time. We'll think about that when we're on our deathbed. If you remember God when you die, well, then you'll be freed. Why do it now? There's a whole world to enjoy. Just as waters enter the ocean, which fills but does not overflow, just so all desires are attained for he who has attained peace, not for he who desires greater pleasure. So if you've got peace, you got it all. You're happy. You're satisfied. You can sit on top of a mountain or sit on top of a tree. It doesn't make any difference. You are at peace wherever you are. And if you desire greater pleasure, there is no place where you will have pure satisfaction. You will have a transient enjoyment for a few fleeting moments. And then think about what's next. That man who renounces all desires and moves without desire, without attachment, without ego, he has peace. O son of she who excels, Arjuna, this is establishment in supreme divinity, wherein one becomes free from delusion. Being thus established, even at the end of time, he will attain complete dissolution in supreme divinity. And here ends the second chapter. Are there questions?
Swamiji,
Please.
if one gives up all their emotions and all their desires, does their being or their personality become flat and sort of boring?
No, they become ecstatic all the time. And they become beings of wisdom or devoted in every circumstance and always seeking the appropriate wisdom, the appropriate truths to apply to circumstances. So therefore they are exercising wisdom. They're not flat.
Does this happen in small stages to us?
I can't tell you. I think it happens immediately. Just immediately, one moment you wake up and say, wow, I'm in love with life. I don't need a specific lover. I'm in love. I don't need a recipient. There are so many recipients. Look at, I can pray to an idol made of stone. I can pray to the fire.
So Swamiji, the response is the most important thing? How you respond to a situation is
Absolutely, that is most important. If you can respond with equanimity, then you can maintain your center, then you have discrimination as what is the appropriate response, rather than just responding to respond.
What's the appropriate response is the answer to all learnings, to all circumstances.
That will be our wisdom.
That we can receive.
That's the application of wisdom. And being in the center and remaining in equanimity and equilibrium all the time, that is being fixed in wisdom. Now here we're equating wisdom with meditation and pure devotion. Wisdom, Gyan, Dhyan, and Bhakti are all united. Dhyan means meditation. Dhyan means wisdom, and Bhakti means devotion. And these three are not separate in any way. Where all three are united, there is yoga. Are there any questions?
Swamiji, actually connected to what you are saying, Michael from Hudson, Colorado, and Nanda from San Jose want to know, so yoga is equilibrium? Is that enlightenment?
Yes. Namaste, Michael. Namaste, Nanda. Yoga is equilibrium. It is the cessation and the prohibition and the control of all changes and modifications. So here we have enlightenment being defined as pure devotion, pure wisdom, and meditation in action. All four types of karma. Dhyan, Gyan, Bhakti, and Karma are united. The four kinds of yogas, meditation, devotion, wisdom, and action unite in a harmony, and that is enlightenment. And the longer we practice that, the greater is our enlightenment. Are there other questions?
Nirmalananda from North Carolina
Namaste, Nirmalananda.
Can one be attached to the fruit of the spiritual path? Is that attachment?
Yes, it is. And now our discrimination tells us what's a good attachment and what's a not so good attachment. Now, what fruit are you searching for, Nirmalananda? Are you searching to become the guru? Or are you searching to become a tool in the hands of God? Are you searching to become venerated for your spiritual attainment? Or are you searching to become the servant of creation? Now, be careful because there are subtle distinctions here. It's very easy to lose our focus. And we must maintain vigilance. If we are seeking the fruit of my karma, we'll be able to be a professor and I can pontificate to my class and profess. Then probably my ego is attached to enjoyment. But if we're seeking to become a practitioner who is a tool in the hands of God and steps aside and let God's work come through him, then perhaps our intention is clear, and because of that pure intention we get a pure fruit.
Swamiji, Rolf from Mountain View asks, is attachment the only source of desire?
Well, attachment is not the source of desire, Rolf. Actually, desire is inherent in the creation. There are three energies which are inherent in every atom of creation. Icha, Kriya, and Jnana Shakti. Aim, Hrim, Klim. Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati. All the threes, Sattva, Raja, Tama. This Icha is a will, a desire to be. And this wisdom is a knowledge of being. And the Kriya Shakti is the activity of being. These three are inherent in every atom. So they are the ones which create the attachment. For example, two molecules will search each other out and unite. And then they make a greater substance. And the greater substance grows and grows and grows, and it has a desire to expand itself. As we do here. We have a desire to expand our love, expand our knowledge, expand our wisdom, and so we're congregating all around the world to unite in this knowledge. We're creating a congregation to expand our capacity by uniting. We have a desire, an icha. So here we become attached. The attachment is caused by the desire. Not the desire caused by the attachment.
Swamiji, actually Rolf has another question which is connected to verse 59.
Yes, please. And what is the question?
The question, Krishna says, from the wearer of a body who does not partake, desire itself turns away. Is that how we get rid of attachments? Do attachments fade away when we do not indulge the desires that they create?
Absolutely, Rolf. This is the process. When we are fixed in our worship, we're fixed in our meditation, we're fixed in our spiritual exercises, then we don't pay attention to the desire. Now all the desires can come and knock on the door and there's nobody home. They turn away. And after some time, they just leave us completely alone. That guy is useless. He never pays attention to me. Why shall I go there? And that's the process. So by feeling our present with, remember there are four kinds of karma. Sankshipta karma is over and done with its past. There's nothing we can do to change it. Birthman is present karma. That's right now. Prarabdha is the karma that began in the past, that's the fruits of which are coming in the future. And the fourth is nitya karma, the eternal karma. So now if we feel our present with eternal karma, the past is done, it's over with. All the prarabdha karma, all that was begun in the past is going to come to fruition in the future. If we are fixed in nitya karma, in eternal karma, then the karma just dissipates of its own nature. Its energy dissipates. and it has no capacity, further capacity to bind us. If we leave our nitya karma and we abandon our spiritual discipline and we leave our tapasya and sadhana, then we say, oh my God, I've got to respond. I have to respond to the circumstances of life. And again, we go out and create more karma for ourselves. But if we're still and fixed and maintain the presence and respond from the intelligence of that center, then all at a time, the desires themselves will turn away from us. Please.
Swamiji, I have a question about verse number 58, Swamiji.
Yes.
It talks about withdrawing one's senses from the objects of perception.
Yes.
For somebody who is a beginning seeker, is it better to not go towards the object or to go to the object and try to withdraw oneself, not be attached to the object?
It depends what the object of perception is. Just as a tortoise withdraws his limbs, such a being will become established in union. If the object is a movie, the movie is always moving. So if we focus our perception on the moving movie, we're going to be changing with the movie. Now, if the object is the fire, if the object is the murti, if the object is the object of our meditation, which is still and inspiring divinity, and in inspiring us to become the best that we can possibly become, it is better for us to fix our perception on that one object. And even there's a practice called tratak, where we actually have a staring contest with the murti. And Javot Twang Bhujayeshami Tavot Twang Shustira Baba. As long as I worship you, you please sit still. And I will do the same. And in this way we have withdrawn our senses from all the other objects of the world and focused them on the one. And after some time we can withdraw our objects of perception and bring them inside, and that is called pratyahara. And then comes dharana, dhyana, samadhi. And that will be our process.
Does that skill then translate to any situation? Once you've attained that kind of skill and you're out in the world, will you be able to withdraw your senses automatically?
With effort, if you choose, if it's appropriate. In any place. I have seen some swamis go into samadhi on a railway station platform. Didn't we see that? I've seen some divine mothers go into samadhi in the train. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yes, we do.
So yes, it is possible when appropriate. Even more, it's possible to focus your attention to achieve the optimum efficiency when you're functioning. So now, if you know how to withdraw your senses from the world, you can focus your attention on any object which you choose. And that is a blessing, because that begets efficiency. You can pay attention and move to the intrinsic nature of the issues that face you and find solutions which are appropriate. Are there other questions?
Swamiji, Usha from Canada
Namaste, Usha.
is asking, it seems that the Gita tells us what to do. Like verse 47, 48 tell us about karma yoga, jnana yoga, discrimination, but the how to is left to something like Patanjali Sutras.
Yes, very true. Patanjali Sutras talk about how to. Also the Chandipat is very filled with how to. So that's why we study many scriptures to get a great overview of what are the objectives, and then other scriptures will tell us more in embellishment of how to achieve those goals. Thank you for wonderful observation, Usha.
Swamiji, question from Wendy from New Jersey.
Namaste, Wendy.
Can you chant the scriptures silently? How will that change the outcome of its benefits?
Oh, Wendy, you know what? There are 3 basic modes of pronunciation. The first is called sabda, where we are pronouncing audibly. Even more subtle than sabda, where we're pronouncing audibly, is called pumps. And only we can mouth the words, but no sound comes out. And the third kind of pronunciation is called manas. And someone looking from outside might say that that individual is meditating. But inside, we know we're actually reciting the scripture. Now that is the most difficult of attainment. First we start from the outside and work our way in. So as you become more and more comfortable with the recitation of the scripture, you become more and more comfortable sitting, breathing in, and you know the scripture, you can withdraw your senses from the outside, then the pronunciation becomes more and more quiet and more silent. And then ultimately it becomes totally enclosed within. You just think the pronunciation. Are there other questions, please?
Swamiji, there's a question from Mani Manjali from Pinole, California.
Namaste, morning.
Prasadi sarva dukkhanam. Are there things other than sadhana that can help give us prasad?
Every karma that we perform is an offering. And every offering will give prasad. And prasadi sarva dukkhanam matra nahi. It's not only a dukh, but also there's the highest joy in achieving our goal. Prasad is not only dukh. It is not only suffering or pain. It is also a feeling of achievement and an enhancement of union. So in making the offering, we are getting the prasad.
Swamiji, there are some questions from the previous.
Okay, oh no, I'm sorry. We don't have any more time. If you wait a few minutes, I'll adjust the cameras, and then we can talk some more. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.